Lynette and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing with you the eyeshadow palettes that I regret buying. Yes, I have some of those. Believe it or not. And I actually have, once I decided to do this video and I started going through my collection, I have quite a lot more than I thought. I started off with maybe like 5, and then as I was going through, I was just pulling them out. So I've got quite a few. This video might be long. You might want to grab a snack or perhaps a cocktail, and let's get started. Alright, so apparently there's a lot of eyeshadow palettes I regret buying. And they're not all because they're bad formula or they didn't work well. As we go along, you'll see, but it's not all because of bad formula. Alright, the first one we're going to start off with, though, might fall into that category. It's an old one, and it is the Smoky palette from Carroty. And yeah, I bought this probably soon after starting my YouTube channel, which would have been 2 years ago now. This is what it looks like. And I found this brand on Instagram because they used to have ads on Instagram, and I saw it and I was like, ooh, wow, okay. Yeah, I think I bought this maybe 2 years or 2.5 years ago or so when I started my channel. I feel like I've had it a really long time. And I did do a swatch video with it. I don't know if there was a tutorial in that video or not. I think it was just all swatches where I swatched the whole palette. And I did do a look with it. Possibly it was off camera. And I remember just not being really that impressed with the swatches or using the palette. Oh, I have a swatch here from something else, but you know, here's some of the swatches, and they're just, they're okay. These didn't swatch too badly, actually, but I remember the one time that I used it, I wasn't impressed. And now that I have so many more palettes with these shades in it, I don't even think about, I never think about this palette. And because I have other palettes that just perform much better than this, I never reach for this palette. And it's interesting because one of the people I subscribe to, I was just watching her today, and she was talking about her die-hard favorite palettes, and this is one of them, and she talks about this one quite often, and I'm always like, really? But that just goes to show you, you know, personal preference. What you like, I might not, and vice versa. Next up are some really oldies. They're from CoverGirl. They're from their, I think is, the Color Icon collection. And this, I'm sorry, this is Wet n Wild, the Color Icon collection. And this is number 736, the Petal Pusher. And this one is 738, Comfort Zone. Okay, I zoomed you in a little bit because I felt like you were very far away. And yeah, so these are OGs here on YouTube. I didn't know anything about these palettes until I started watching YouTube. And apparently these were OGs, especially the Comfort Zone one back in the day. I guess everybody used to use this. I was really like years late to the game. But I thought it would be fun to pick them up and to use them and sort of, you know, to find out, okay, are they as hyped, or are they worth all the hype that they used to get here on YouTube? And I have yet to use them. I swatched them in a video, in a haul video, I think, but I have yet to use these eyeshadow palettes. I forget that I have these palettes, and I have them sitting here on my desk as I do most of my eyeshadow palettes. So that I'm figuring, you know, if I can see it, I'll remember it and I'll remember to use it. But I don't know, I feel like at this point I have so many eyeshadows palettes on this desk that they're getting lost in the mix here. But yeah, and these definitely have gotten lost. Yeah, I've never used them. Let me know if you'd like to see a tutorial with these palettes, or Is it dead and gone? Is it over? Is the love, has the love gone? I don't know, but yeah, never used them, so didn't really need to buy them. Next up is another oldie, and this one might be shocking for some people. If you've been to my channel before, probably not so much. This is my very first Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palette or eyeshadow purchase, and it is the Master Palette by Mario. This is the limited edition collaboration with Kim Kardashian's makeup artist, who is now famous in his own right these days. And this is what that palette looks like. And I just bought this because of the hype, plain and simple. And looking at this palette online, it's completely neutral, total snooze fest in my opinion. Even back then when I bought this palette, I did a lot of neutral looks, and this just never, I just always thought this was a boring palette. And when I want neutrals, I have another palette that I go to, that I had before this palette and that I go to, and so whenever I want a neutral, I go to that one. I don't even think to go to this one. And this was my first exposure to Anastasia's eyeshadow formula. And it's very, as you know, very powdery, you get a lot of kick up. I know this probably looks like I've used the hell out of it, but I've swatched it and I did use it maybe once, maybe twice, maybe not. But yeah, it's the shadows are so soft that you know, a little tap and you get a lot of fallout, and it looks like it's been through a war. But I think I've only used it once, maybe twice. And yeah, it's just, for me, I don't do a whole lot of neutral looks these days. I've been doing a little more lately, but yeah, I just never think to use this. So I wish, as soon as I bought it, I wish I hadn't bought it. Shouldn't have spent the money on that one. And let's see, we have one that I've talked about before on my channel, so I won't go into depth. It is the Coloured Raine The Lovelies palette. They have, I think, 4 of these mini palettes. I did buy another one, the Beauty Rust, which I absolutely love. This one, not so much, because this color story just makes no sense. It just doesn't make any sense. I like this shade right here, this beautiful red shade, which is probably why I bought it. But the main reason why I bought it is because, you know, I was trying to be different. I wanted something different. I didn't want to keep buying the same color stories that I already have. So I bought this, and I used it once in a tutorial, and I have never used it again, because every time I open it, I frown. I open it, I look at it, I frown, I close it, I put it back. Someone, a subscriber did, I forget, I'm sorry, I forget who it was, but did suggest to me that I should depot these, and I plan to do it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I never depot my palettes. But this one I am willing to depot, because I think it's the only way I'm ever going to use any of these eyeshadows. I think if I take them out and put them in a palette with other shades that make sense, then maybe I'll be more inclined to use them. But the way that they're set up right now, it's not happening. Or totally wish I hadn't bought this. And I paid $27 for this. It was initially $36, I think. No one was buying it at that price, so I think they're even cheaper now. But yeah, I paid $27, and that was way too much on this palette. Boy, what else do we have? We got a lot. Oh, another oldie that I never think about, and that I've only used once, and it is from Dose of Colors. It's their very first eyeshadow palette, and it's the Ice Cream palette. You remember this one? And packaging really, really cute. The names are all ice cream. Makes me hungry every time I I read the names. These are the colors, so they're a little more pastel. You got that little pop of green there. You got this pretty little lavender shade, which I don't know once you blend it out if it stays that color or not. No, not really. Yeah, this just, I used it once on my channel, did a look with it. I felt about the look that I created with it. The shadows all worked nicely. Didn't have, if I remember correctly, I didn't have any problems applying them or using the shadows. But the color story just doesn't speak to me. I mean, you know, you got some nice neutrals, but I have plenty of neutral shades, and at this point I just don't feel like any of these shades are unique to my collection, and I never think to use it, so much so that it's in a drawer. It's not actually on my desk, it's in a drawer, because I'm just kind of like, you know, maybe one day when I do another palette declutter, maybe I'll give it to someone, but I regret buying this one. Okay, so now we're getting into some more recent ones. Let's go to another ABH palette, the Subculture palette. I lusted after this palette for a million years, saw all the horrible reviews on it, but loved the color story so much that I was like, damn it. I actually went and bought dupe palettes. I bought a Makeup Revolution dupe palette that I gave away that didn't work well at all. So main reason why I gave it away, because I liked the color story so much, but because this one had gotten such bad reviews, you know, I was like, I'm not gonna spend $42 on that, and it's a shitty palette. But really loved this grungy color story. So I went to IMATS and I bought it at a discount and still paid too much for it. Used it used it, and the colors that, you know, I really wanted, I was the most excited about, this one here at the top, Access, and this one here, Rowdy, this really dark plum brown. Just what everybody said, a patchy mess that wouldn't adhere to my skin, wouldn't blend. And now at this point, I'm just kind of over the whole, I'm over the whole color story. I'm over the whole thing. I went ahead after buying this palette and having a hard time with it. I bought the Bad Habit Retro Love dupe palette. Have yet to use it. Swatched it. Have yet to use it. I probably will, just so that I can see if it performs any better than a Subculture. But really at this point, I'm kind of over the whole thing. I'm over the whole color story thing. Over the whole thing. So 3 palettes of all pretty much the same, and I regret buying all of them. And then let's stick to Bad Habit dupe palettes. I bought the Lightspeed Bad Habit dupe palette. This was the dupe of the Kat Von D Divine palette. This is what it looks like. I really wanted the Divine palette. This was before I stopped supporting her. Really wanted that palette, but didn't buy it because I think it was like $38 or something. Didn't want to spend that amount of money on that palette, so I went on ahead and got the dupe. I'm so glad I didn't buy the Kat Von D palette and spend that money, because this palette, bought it, swatched it, have yet to use it. Have never used this palette. And you know, from the swatches, they're really like, they seem really crumbly. These shimmers seem really crumbly, and the mattes seem really powdery. So, you know, I can't speak on the quality. Again, I haven't used the palette, but the fact that I haven't used the palette and I've had this for a really long time now, I want to say probably it's been at least a year at this point, leads me to conclude that I didn't need it, shouldn't have bought it, and regret doing so. All right, we're getting down to the home stretch. Now these last 3 are very recent additions to my collection. One of them I just talked about is Profusion, and it's the Shimmers palette. It only cost me $5, so I didn't put out a whole lot of money for this palette. And I do have a Profusion 21 pan palette, the Confidence palette, which you already have seen me do. I did a recent tutorial using it. Love that palette. This one here is the is an all shimmer palette. If I could get the damn paper off of it. Is their all shimmer palette. And now after using the Confidence palette, I bought this one with the Confidence palette. Haven't used this one, used the Confidence one. After using that one, the shimmer formula is, you know, so-so. You really need to wet it in order to get any bang from them. I mean, they're not terrible, certainly not bad in any sense of the word, but you know, I just have other shimmer and metallic formulas that are so much better. Juvia's Place, for instance, you know, so they're pretty, but as I said, I have not used the palette, and I think it's because it's an all shimmer palette. and I've just come to the realization that I don't really use shimmer palettes too much. I have a couple of Pat McGrath shimmer palettes that I spend way more money on that I don't use, and I think it's because, you know, when I buy a palette, I'm primarily buying it because I know that I can just open it up and just do a look with it without having to go and look for other shadows or other palettes to use in conjunction with it. I could just do the all one look with the one palette. So I think that's mainly why I don't use this palette, but again, I bought it and I'm going to use it. I'm going to try it, at least use a couple of shades out of it and see how I like it. But yeah, if I had to do it all over again, probably wouldn't buy it, not even for $5. And then last but not least, I have, maybe this isn't going to be as long as I thought. I have two palettes, both from Too Faced. Both are more recent additions to my collection. I purchased both of these during the holidays last year during the Sephora sale, and haven't really gotten much use out of them since buying them. The first one is the Too Faced Chocolate Gold Bar Palette. Yeah. I often, it's right here on my desk so that I can see it and use it. I often open it, smell it, swatch it, and I just really don't use it. I've used it once. I used it once, and then I think I might have used it again. I used maybe 1 or 2 shades out of it to complete a look from another palette, but otherwise I really have not used this palette. And you know, I lusted after this palette ever since it was released, so for a good long time. Finally bought it at a nice discount last year. And it's a neutral palette, and I knew that going in. And it's mostly shimmers. Again, really don't use whole shimmer palettes. This one has a couple of mattes, but really only just a few, like 3, 4 mattes. The rest are shimmers, and very pretty, but you know, I could have done without it. I have been doing without it for a long time, actually. Was not missing it in my collection and didn't really think about it again until I saw it on sale over the holidays. So yeah, I regret buying it. I mean, I'm still gonna use it. I am gonna use it, but yeah, I could have done without this palette. And finally, also from Too Faced, I think I purchased these two together in the same haul, is the Too Faced Razzle Dazzle palette. Beautiful packaging. Again, I open this palette, I smell it, and I have yet to use it. One of the reasons why I haven't used it is because it's a berry tone palette, and I had been doing tutorials with a lot of berry tones or purples at the time. So I was like, well, I'm not going to use it this time. I just did a purple look. I'm not going to do it this time. I just did a berry look. I'm not going to use it. And then I still haven't used it. I'm going to use it. But again, the fact that I haven't used it since I purchased it in like December, and we're now in June, late June at that, leads me to believe I didn't need to buy this palette. And I regret doing so. I'm gonna use it though. I'm gonna use it, but didn't really need it. I do smell it though on a regular basis. Alright, and that is it. A lot more than I thought, but I think I went through it pretty quickly. I hope. Let me know, do you have any eyeshadow palettes in your collection that you regret buying? I'd like to know what they are. Maybe you have some of these too. If you enjoyed this video, then please go ahead and give it a like and consider subscribing, because I do these types of videos along with tutorials, hauls, reviews, and swatches here on my channel every Saturday. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.